Today we have a topic that not many veterans talk about or even know about. And to give you a spoiler here, our special guest saved upwards of $500,000. And no, that's not a joke, using this VA benefit. So yes, it's extremely important. And yes, we're going to talk about it. So be sure to like, subscribe, share with a friend, do all the YouTube stuff. It helps get this into the hands of a veteran that really needs it, because this benefit is absolutely life-changing, and it did change the life of our special guest right here, right? So our special guest, his name is Gregory Proctor. He's taken full advantage of this VA benefit. So Gregory, go ahead and introduce yourself, and let's go ahead and get this thing rolling.
All right. Good afternoon to the TheCivDiv audience. My name is Gregory Proctor. U.S. Air Force veteran. I'm a native of Washington, D.C. I currently reside in North Texas with my wife of nearly 22 years as of the 25th of October of this year. Did one enlistment in the Air Force right after 9/11. I was a civilian firefighter. My department responded to the Pentagon attacks. My personal motivation for going in was to honor the 343 with the FDNY. I'm transitioning to my third year medical school. I'm in my dedicated study period for some board exams. And although this podcast and Clay's platform is designed to help veterans, I would really just like to give a shout out for my mom, my father. I'm the oldest of three. I'm named after him. Was in Marine Corps. He was killed active duty. And there's just some wounds that a son's prayers or family can't adequately address. Her nickname's Jackie. So if you could just keep the survivors of those that have fallen honorably in your thoughts and prayers, that'd be greatly appreciated from me and the family.
Yeah, well, you're definitely going to get that from me. So thank you for your service and your whole family's service, right? Your father and definitely your mother's service, especially that survivor service is bar none. It's something that I honestly can't and don't want to understand, to be real with you. But getting this thing rolling, and I don't want it to fly over anyone's head, because you mentioned med school. You got VR&E to pay for med school, and that's what's saving you $500,000. And we're going to get to that, but I want to understand the story and what really led you to using VR&E in the first place. So how did it all start? Like, you had to have an undergrad. Did you use post 9/11? Did you use Montgomery? Did you use VR&E for your undergrad? What does that look like?
Yes. So for the undergraduate, I only did one enlistment, so I transitioned to GI Bill to post 9/11. So that did the bachelor's degree from American Military University. Again, first profession was firefighting, so a fire services management degree. When I finally zoned in and locked in, I needed prereqs, major sciences courses for medical school. So did like a post-bac at the University of North Texas. And at that point, I had exhausted my GI Bill. First year of medical school, did a private loan. It's a private medical school, Trinity School of Medicine. My lender got tied up into the Silicon Valley Bank failure 2023. So at that point, I need a new financial plan. And being a 40 and over club, that doesn't include co-signers from mommy and daddy. So I had to figure it out on my own.
Yeah, so on that note, and I think this is what goes over a lot of people's heads, mine included. When it comes to VR&E, it's not an education program. That's just kind of part of it. It is veteran readiness and employment. So it is an employment program. Can you just explain what VR&E is, and really what's the crutch to get accepted into that program?
All right, and you're tracking correctly. It is not an educational program per se. It is a program designed to return the veteran to the workforce. However, if the vocational program that is approved requires formal education and there's adequate justification and approval, then you can get med school paid for. You can get law school paid for, things of those nature. So how that looked, or how that does look for me, it's pretty weird with the bachelor's degree. I'm sure anyone that's listening now may have been told, oh, you have a bachelor's degree, you're employable. And that's just not true. I applied 4 times, and it took me, when I first applied, April 2019, I was 50% rated. And the 4th attempt, finally, I'm 100% PNT. So over this 5-year span, aspects of my health with the employment that I did have was causing me physical harm. So there's 2 questions with the VR&E. And in my personal experience, they only care about one. The first one is, can the veteran obtain employment with the basically the skills that they have, or the formal education that they have, and typically they'll just run circles around that. The second question, and most important question, is does the work that the veteran can obtain with their current skill set or formal education, does it cause them harm? And if it causes them harm, then okay, well, that's a problem. And then there's category about employee handicap versus serious employee handicap. We can talk about that a little bit, but basically EH will provide, if approved, up to 48 months of entitlement to the benefit, and SEH is just kind of wide open beyond 48 months if necessary.
Now, which of those, because you said in your opinion they only care about one of those, which question in your opinion do you think holds more weight?
The 1000%, in my experience and in my thought process, does the work that the veteran can obtain or is currently working cause them harm? So personally, with me, I have a bachelor's degree. I have a paramedic license. I am a FAA certified flight attendant. That's a whole nother story, how that came about. I have probably 40 plus certifications in fire emergency services. And when you hear that, it sounds like I have a whole super big bag of things I could dig into to find employment, but it really just boils down to 2 career fields, and fire and emergency services, and like pre-hospital care, critical care, 911 stuff in the field. And based on my specific service-connected disabilities, it's not suitable. I've had to have surgery to address some of my issues. And on a very quick side note, and this will tie in like with the VA form 1902 whiskey that would need to be filled out by the veteran. Please be completely honest with your service-connected disabilities and your non-service-connected disabilities. There's this thought process, and I know it's not exactly what we're talking about here, but there's a thought, oh, if you're going to be 100% PNT, you need a 70% rating, like a 50 and 2 20s and a 10 or something. I have no service-connected disability that is above 50%. Now, obviously, I have several of them because I'm 100% PNT, but I'm just honest with my conditions. I follow my care treatment plan from the VA and community care, and those conditions are static, and that is my designation. I am properly rated. So just be honest throughout all of these processes outside of VR&E, what you're seeing, your compensation and pension, all of that, you need to be honest.
Yeah. So on the VR&E note, right, because that's what's paying for med school, which I think is insane, by the way, and good on you. Congrats for that. Now, I know that you were denied at first because you did mention you had to get a private loan. Can you explain why you were denied? One, what did that feel like to get that denial? And then what did you do to eventually get approved?
All right. So we'll just briefly cover the first 2 and then the last 2. So 2019, April and October 2019, denied both times. The denial was so egregious, if you could believe it, the regional office actually compelled the satellite office to interview me again, which they sent me to the same vocational rehabilitation counselor that got denied again. So once my loan fell through in 2023, when I started medical school at the Trinity School of Medicine, I applied again, and I was really gaslit. I filled out the form. I answered question 12. Question 12 says something like, how do you believe, or what is your view of how this program is going to assist you? And I'm like, okay, I'm in medical school. I put that. We have this 56-minute conversation. She's smiling. She seems supportive. And then she's like, you're denied. Like on the Zoom call, she's just like, you're done. Like, you have a degree. And I'm like, okay, I'm trying to be a citizen warrior here. I'm trying to continue to serve my country. The things I have been doing with my work, I work in rural and remote America, and I'm not getting any help. The fourth attempt, I did retain the services of a VA accredited law firm. Against the advice of the attorney, I applied for a fourth time. So this is one highlighted point that I would like your audience to get across, and I think it'll come up across again. Every communication that you send during this process until your individual work readiness or rehabilitation plan is signed, you need to treat that as if this one document were sent up as an HLR, a higher level review, that your petition would be approved based on that one email or that one attachment that you sent. Prime example, we're backtracking just a teeny bit. There are 2 steps to VR&E. You got to be found entitled to the benefit. When you sign up, you got to have at least a 10% rated disability, and they'll send you a letter, oh, you're eligible to be screened. Eligible is not entitled. You're going to go to the general intake meeting, have the one-on-one meeting. I had to stand with an attorney and a higher level review person just to be found entitled to the benefit, because my regional office was pushing so hard against me. I sent a 2-page document at the request of the VRC an hour and 47 minutes before she denied me in the system. And that 2-page letter found me entitled to the benefit. And to find me entitled for coverage for medical school and housing support and other ancillary support during residency, I sent the letter 1 day before the initiation of the higher level review was submitted. And that one attachment with a previous attachment in June directly assisted with that. So just like when you're doing your CMP stuff, if you just set up a higher level review, like, oh, I don't want any other evidence to be considered, this is the same way. Like anything before that denial, they will look at it. And you really need to keep those emails in your sent folder. My original VRCs were so egregious, they did not even upload anything to VBMS. And Clay, you've talked about VBMS for the audience. If you don't quite know, I don't really get it. But if you could just think about Google Drive or iCloud with Apple, it's supposed to be a repository of everything that the veteran sends in related to their case file is sent there. And my VRC didn't upload 80% of what I sent in. I literally had to send my stuff through the HLR official pathway with the timestamps unaltered for them to see that that information came through. So very arduous in my case. I will add, I believe I probably had a little more difficulty. There's a term called retroactive induction. So if you're found entitled to the benefit while you're doing the program, VA Chapter 31 VR&E is not picking up from that day going forward. It is mandated. It is by law. They see the veteran from zero to hero. They had to pay back from day one. So I'm sure that definitely had some play into their resistance with approving my program.
Yeah, and the issue, and I don't want to get too deep into the issue of VR&E, but they're really autonomous, right? There's not that much oversight or quality reviews like there are on the VA claims side of the house, which VA claims had its own mess over there, but at least they have quality reviews. We don't see that same level of scrutiny on a VR&E counselor. They're almost, I would make the argument, they're almost autonomous into their own decision-making, which is super subjective, right? There's nothing that's evidence-based that's saying, hey, because of X, Y, because of X, Y, because of X, Y. It's mainly, you're fine, you can get employment, right? Now, I'm a big fan of evidence is king for any VA disability claim, and VR&E kind of fits that same mold as well. So you kept saying that you uploaded a letter, which is evidence. Are you willing to share like some key highlights of the evidence of what you described during because I believe this was an HLR for your
Yes.
entitlement? Like what did you upload to be the deciding factor to say, hey, I do rate VR&E?
Yes. So, and I'm going to preface this, but it was in there. There's no longer a requirement officially to keep a job log officially. And I will also say VRCs typically follow M28C, which that is a guideline. They're supposed to follow USC. They're supposed to follow CFR, Chapter 38. They heavily rely on M28C. But to your point, in my I had two 2-page letters actually. One of the 2-page letters, I wrote in there that I had amassed a portfolio of attempts of finding suitable employment with my current education and training over 3 years, which I really did have. I stated that I investigated offshoots of what I could do and meticulously wrote out why, in fact, those were not suitable for me. Definitely those two. And probably the third thing, I articulated why my current disabilities, I actually wrote in there, were causing me harm with my current employment. And along with the 2-page letter, I had a letter from frontline management with my organization saying would have to pause or go home. I would transport a patient, end up becoming a patient after dropping off a patient. That was all contained within there. And the HLR reviewer was pretty appalled. And the terminology is called, or basically, a failure to develop evidence, that was not properly considered. And that's why they did what they did.
Yeah, the crazy part is that VR&E counselor is just out there willy-nilly, probably still doing the same thing that they did to you, right? Because they almost work autonomously. VR&E is an absolute solid benefit. Like, I think VA disability claims, that gets the clickbait titles, right? That brings in the views because that's what everyone cares about. But VR&E is that silent benefit that not many people talk about. That is a huge life-changing. Like, I couldn't imagine, one, I can't see myself going to med school to begin with, but I definitely can't see myself paying for med school. So good on you for really being your best advocate, right? I think that's the main point of this video here, is to show that veterans are their best advocate and evidence matters. And you have two options, right? You can just submit the claim and let it ride through the process, or you can submit that evidence-based claim and really put the effort into describing the evidence for whatever it is that you're claiming, whether it's disability claims or, in this case, VR&E. With that, Gregory, is there anything else you want to share to the veteran before we pop out?
Let me add a quick delineation point for you with the evidence. These are emails, emails with the information that were sent to the VRC. Mm-hmm. So I was forwarding that information to the HLR teams that had the original timestamp. It's not like, I could surmise everything that happened. That what happened in real time, they had to see that it was happening before the HLR submission. So I just wanted to make that clear distinction. If for the veteran audience out there, if it's kind of clear as mud what I've been saying, because this is pretty niche. It's on the higher end. There's 4 levels to VR&E approval, like 25,000 and under. The VRC can approve that. The Veteran Readiness and Employment Officer, basically the director in the region, that's 50,000 up to 100,000 is the regional director, and then executive directors over 100,000. So I would highly encourage anyone on here that's interested to look at Nick the Vet. She's on YouTube. Totally awesome. Look at videos 53 and 54 first, and then start from 1 and then go on the progression. Totally outlines everything with that regard.
Yeah, and is there anything else you want to shout out as well? Because whatever we talked about is going to be pinned below down in the comments. So we'll have Nick the Vet down there, and then any other things you want to shout out as well.
Okay, so let me shout out my school, Trinity School of Medicine, international medical school that is amazingly VA Chapter 31 approved. So basically you go to like a Caribbean island, typically you'll do the classroom portion, and then you come back stateside to do your board exams and your rotations, and then you're a doctor in the US. My 4th semester, my last semester on the island, I had a cancer scare, 66-gram prostate. I had to fly back twice to the US for care, and did not have any funding. And 2 full semesters, they had so much faith in me that I had to pay for my housing, but they deferred my tuition for 2 semesters while I worked this out. And I don't believe an international medical school or a mainland school would have did that. Pelham Training Institute, paramedic program. I'm a paramedic. If you don't know that you might quite want to be a doctor, but you want to help people in a medical sense, Tim designed a paramedic program that was originally designed for the pararescueman. I was not pararescue, I was fire protection. It was 13 weeks when I did it. It's 16 weeks now. It's in Bloomfield, Indiana. If you're active duty, okay, you can do the DoD Skill Bridge program. It will use your GI Bill, but like it'll let you do that program or programs like that while you're still on active duty as you're transitioning out. And then Beautiful Works. I think I had my IWRP framed up by my man Jose. He's made me this beautiful flag as well. Guru Wizard with wood. Any active duty member that's on here, if you're being medically discharged, M28C.3.Bravo.2 Chapter 2. Okay. If you need to get in front of a VRC, if you plan on or have a desire to work after service, you need to get in front of a vocational rehabilitation counselor ASNAP, which is faster than ASAP. You need to not cash out your leave and like have those days extended for your ETS, because you're being discharged medically in part because you cannot do your MOS, AFSC, your job rating, however that looks for you. You're essentially automatically entitled to VR&E, but you got to have that on file before your ETS, and it'll totally take care of you. So anyone that knows someone active duty that's being med boarded out, or if you yourself are being med boarded out, if you're listening, you need to get in front of a VRC. And do not let them tell you, do not let anyone tell you that you can use your GI Bill. GI Bill only pays up to $28,000 annually. A lot of states are yellow ribbon. Basically, they eat the cost of the extra. VR&E is paying tuition, books, and any special accommodations that you may have. I need a special stethoscope. There's stuff with my hearing. Okay, I can write that off on the right. Request 1905. I needed a laptop with certain programs. I totally got that. So this program is tailored to set the veteran up for success. It's funded annually at $1.2 billion. Pretty weird how it's part of mandatory and discretionary funding within the budget of VA. Very weird. But there's no projection of a degradation in funding for that program. and we want to be citizen warriors and continue to serve. So if you're eligible and you're found entitled to the benefit, allow it to help you so that you can continue to serve, as a citizen warrior.
Yeah, and last thing I'll say too is if you're that person, and this one of my friends falls in this category, he was using his post 9/11 GI Bill, and he was like, "Oh, once I'm finished, I'll hop on VR&E." That's not the answer. You want to do, if you have the option, you want to do VR&E first, because and I was hammering him for months. It was probably a whole year and a half when he finally applied for VR&E. He got accepted his first time. Now, they did reinstate his entire GI Bill just based on his effective date and how that worked. But now he's almost finished with his undergrad. He's using VR&E, and now he has his full entitlement of his post 9/11 GI Bill for grad school or whatever. He can use it or not. I think it would be bad advice to not use it, but you have the option to use post 9/11. So if you're in that boat, VR&E is always the first option. Go through the process, see what that looks like prior to using your post 9/11 or your Montgomery. Anyways, Gregory, thank you very much. I definitely appreciate your time. I know we've been talking about this for probably a year now, and it just kept getting pushed and pushed and pushed. I've been busy myself as well. So I definitely apologize for that, but I'm glad we can finally sit down and hammer this out. But yeah, man, thank you very much. I definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, and just for your audience, just to close out, if you do have to retain a lawyer, like I had to end up doing, please remember, and this might be a piss off moment for the lawyers, but the lawyer works for you, not the other way around. It's kind of like this weird symbiotic relationship where you should view yourself as Michael Jordan, but he didn't start winning championships until Scottie Pippen came along. And when you're in those meetings, even with an attorney, it's not like TV. Even the attorney, if you have one with you, there's a question that's going to be asked, and he or she is going to say, "I am deferring to the veteran." Be fully engaged in any process that you're dealing with the VA and know what's going on.
Yeah, that's solid advice. And although that was for VR&E, I think that also applies for any VA benefit, namely VA disability claims. All right, Gregory, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. And if you're a veteran as a viewer and you made it till the end, please let us know. I definitely, I really enjoy seeing comments of veterans making it to the end. It helps me out. It helps the channel out. And then the view duration of you watching, staying till the end, helps get it out to more veterans. So last time, Gregory, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, CivDiv audience. Thanks, Clay.
Yep.